Okay. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Bhasha Dadeshitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, welcome to our series on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life and precepts. We've been discussing the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, though it's a very vast subject, but we are just trying to give some overview through these three sessions. So last time I explained that the whole life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been described by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in the book called Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then Chaitanya Charitamrita is the postgraduate study. So we discussed about some few aspects about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life, the reason for his descent, his appearance, and we explained also the various reasons that why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that particular form he appears. We discussed about the external reasons and internal reasons, and the subject matter is considered why it is considered the postgraduate study. So we discussed all of that, and then we discussed about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's initial days, Balya Lila, then Paganda Lila, then Kashore Lila, and then Yavan Lila. And also, just to give you some brief of those who missed last time, and also those who attended, just to give you the background, how we are continuing today's discussion. So we know that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in very young age, he became such a scholar and his popularity spreaded all around. And he became famous as Nimai Pandit. And he was such a scholarly in just age of 11 years. Started his own Sanskrit school. And then one of the Digvijay Pandit, his name was Keshav Kashmiri. So Digvijay Pandit means nobody is there to challenge him. He was such a scholar. And he thought if I go and debate with this Nimai Pandit, who was becoming very popular at the time, so he thought that my reputation will spread even further. But the long story short, that he was defeated, brutally by young Nimai. He was such a scholarly person, not getting into the detail. And then he was wondering, he was lamenting, and he was crying in the night that how such a young boy can defeat me like this. And he was a worshipper of Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. So he was meditating on Mother Saraswati that, how it's possible that such a young boy can defeat me. While he was in that kind of meditation, he fell asleep. And then Mother Saraswati comes to his dream and revealed that this young boy whom you are debating is actually my Lord. He's the Supreme Lord Krishna. So debating to the wrong person. So better tomorrow morning you go and surrender yourself. So the next day, this Keshav Kashmiri, he came and he submitted, and then he also became the devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So these are like few of the things that we are discussing. It's a vast subject matter. The whole Chaitanya Charitamrita contains 11,500 or some verses like that. We are trying to give you the gist of all those 11,000 verses in just 3 sessions, 3 hours. So we cannot justify, but just to give you the overview with the idea of that people will, get some taste, and that will trigger some desire to read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which very mercifully Srila Prabhupada has detailed explanation he has given, the nice purports, which entails the complete philosophy of Krishna consciousness in depth. So the idea is to give you some taste on that, what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life and some understanding on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So these are the few of the things. But later, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gaya, and he was initiated by his guru, Ishwar Puri, and that is when the whole thing changed. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly changed his color, his emotion changed. So earlier he was a very scholarly person. Now suddenly he started constantly chanting, jumping, dancing, and he himself was wondering like how sudden change in my attitude, in my behavior like that. And then he goes back to his guru again and he says, "What kind of mantra you are given? I'm becoming mad. I'm like a madman. I'm jumping, dancing, and all of that." So then his guru explained to him that that is the nature of this Krishna mantra. If anybody chants Krishna's name, then naturally he develops the emotions like that, and it is very natural. So like that. So now understanding is why that initial life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was very scholarly person. There is a reason actually, because he is the Supreme Lord Krishna himself. So anything, any pastime he does, there is a reason. So reason was because later Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission was to spread the Sankirtan movement, to teach the people to chant the holy name, to spread the Sankirtan, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and sing and dance. So then there will be people always, they will criticize that what kind of person he is and what kind of people the followers. They doesn't know anything about scriptures, simply like some sentimental. They are simply just chanting and dancing. They don't know that what is the philosophy behind. So when such people will come and when they criticize like that, then they should not be able to actually make the valid point because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was such a scholarly person. And the same scholar now chanting and dancing, showing by his personal example that actual process of realizing God is not simply becoming a scholar, but chanting the holy name of the Lord. So by his personal example, he is actually teaching. And that is where his Yavan Lila we discussed, and that is where the Adi Lila ends. So then what happens when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, naturally he was developing a lot of taste for chanting the holy name. So constantly he'll be keep chanting, and more he chants, more he become ecstatic. Then one time it so happened that, of course, he has a lot of followers because he was such a famous and a scholarly person. So one time when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in ecstasy, and out of ecstasy he started chanting Krishna's name, and when because of chanting Krishna's name, his ecstasy increased, and then he started Vrindavan. He started remembering Vrindavan, and when he was remembering Vrindavan, he started chanting Gopi's name. So one of his young disciple, young follower, he kind of criticized Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, rebuked him that you are a sannyasi. Not he was not sannyasi, but he was saying that you are not supposed to chant the Gopi's name. Rather, you should chant Krishna's name. So by seeing that audacity and impudence of his young follower, and Lord thought that all these young people, if they condemn me like this, I am the Supreme Lord, then they'll go to hell by doing this, criticizing me like that. They don't know what is my position. So probably there is a need to change my status now. And then he started considering that probably I should take the sannyas. Because in those days, even traditionally, even today also, sannyasis generally have a lot of respects. People respect a lot when they see some sannyasi. So they don't become impudent like to order or to give some instruction to sannyasi. So then he thought, okay, let me take the sannyasa. And that is where, when he takes sannyas, and that is where this Madhya Lila begins. Madhya Lila means the middle portion. I already explained what contains Adi Lila and what contains Madhya Lila and what is Antya Lila. Those who don't know, those who missed, you can see the previous session. So in the Madhya Lila, it begins with the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the sannyas. Now, how he took sannyas is also important. Though he was coming in a Vaishnava tradition, devotees of Krishna, but sannyasi has to take sannyas from another sannyasi. And that time, seemingly there was no Vaishnava sannyasi was available to give sannyas. So then he went to a different tradition, which is the impersonalist, the Mayavadi sannyasis. And he took the sannyas from one of the Mayavadis. His name was Keshav Bharati. So now what is the difference? Now these are all very technical subjects. Just give you some idea that when any Mayavadi sannyasi, they take the sannyas. So generally you'll see the sannyasi, they generally carry the rod, danda. They call it danda, sannyasa danda. So in the Mayavada sannyasi, they give only one danda. So that represents that when you take sannyas, it means you are actually becoming with Narayan, one with Narayan. So that is their philosophy. Mayavadi, they say The goal of all the process is you go and merge into the Brahman. You become one with the Lord. That is their idea. So one rod means you are becoming one. Wherein in the Vaishnava tradition, when there is a sannyas, they give the three rods. So they tie the three rods and the danda is like inside the three rods. So the meaning of three rods is that one has to completely dedicate himself with manasa, vacha, and karmana in the service of the Lord. With your mind, with your words, with your action, complete dedication in the service of the Lord. So that is the meaning of the Vaishnava sannyas. But now, interestingly, here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the sannyas from the Mayavada tradition. So as soon as he took the sannyas, now one of the rule of the sannyasi should not stay in one place. He should be keep traveling, should be keep preaching, sharing the message, keep educating the people. So immediately, as soon as he took the sannyas, he started traveling. So because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu already chanting Krishna's name and Vrindavan, he was remembering. So his natural desire was to go and visit Vrindavan. So as soon as he took sannyas, he started to travel towards Vrindavan. But here in the scene, Mahaprabhu was tricked by Nityananda. Okay, we have to keep changing the slides. Okay. So he was tricked by Nityananda Prabhu. So what was the trick? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in, full ecstasy. He was completely lost. Externally, he didn't know that where I'm walking and all that. So he sent one person, Nityananda Prabhu, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked that which is the way to Vrindavan. So he misguided him and then redirected him towards Shantipur. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he thought I'm going to Vrindavan. And then he saw there is one river. He thought I almost reached Vrindavan because now Yamuna river is there. But then, and as soon as he reached there, and he saw Advaita Acharya, and who was living in Shantipur. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was wondering, like, this Advaita, what he is doing in Vrindavan. So then he asked him that, hey, what are you doing in Vrindavan here? And then he soon realized that, Nityanand Prabhu had tricked me. Instead of going to Vrindavan, I came back to Shantipur, which is close to Mayapur in Bengal only. So then he was a little upset. But then Advaita Acharya actually pacified him by saying that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wherever you are, that is Vrindavan, because you are Supreme Lord Krishna himself. So like that he pacified. And then he came to Shantipur and then they arranged the Sachi Mata. Sachi Mata is the mother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when Sachi Mata came, because he's only one son, another son already took the sannyas, father already died, like husband for Sachi Mata, and then he's also taking sannyas. So it's a big trauma for her emotionally. So then Advaita Acharya and all these people wanted to arrange this meeting that before he leaves home, Sachi Mata should be able to meet and see his son. So that is how. Then Sachi Mata also came to Advaita Acharya's house in Shantipur and there was a meeting. So detailed description and all like a lot of crowds swelled up there. A lot of devotees, they came to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sachi Mata requested that, before you leave, I wanted to cook something from my hand. I want to serve you, I want to feed you. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted that request. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, okay, now this is the time to leave. So as soon as I started leaving, there was a huge uproar. People started crying, screaming, with the idea that now we'll never be able to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again. Because he's leaving, he's a sannyasi, and he'll be traveling. We don't know whether we'll see him or not. So like that, people were crying. And then Sachi Mata, she bitterly cried. And finally, she was crying and she requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that you anyway decided to take sannyas. But my only request is if you can make your place, the headquarters, Jagannath Puri, if you can make, and it will be easy for me to get the news about you. Because this Mayapur is very close to Jagannath Puri. Say, though I won't be able to see you, but you will be staying in Jagannath Puri. And then people keep going, coming, and all that. I'll get some news about you. Otherwise, I'll not know that where is my son. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted this request of Sachimada. So, and then when he started traveling, and then he started to travel to Jagannath Puri. Now, there's so many wonderful things happened on the way to Jagannath Puri. So, when he was traveling along with some of his close associates, Nityanand Prabhu, Jagdanand Pandit, and few more like that. And when he was traveling, so then they reached to this place called the Ramuna. So when they came to Ramuna, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu narrates the story of Madhavendra Puri. It's a very, very fascinating story. It's a very detailed description is given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but I'll just give the gist of this story. So this Madhavendra Puri was a great devotee of Krishna. He was the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's guru is Ishwar Puri. His guru is Madhavendra Puri. So this Madhavendra Puri, he was sitting in Vrindavan at one time in Govind Kund, and he was chanting and remembering and meditating on Krishna. And suddenly he found that one very attractive, very young, small age boy, very attractive, very charming. He comes there and then he gave one pot of milk, because this Madhavendra Puri was uh, actually taken in the vow of Ayachaka Vritti. Ayachaka Vritti means there are different stages when somebody takes the renunciation. So different people take the different kind of, vows. So one of the vow is Ayachaka Vritti, means you will not go and beg anything from anyone. It means without asking, if something comes to you, somebody comes and give you some food, then you will take. If nothing comes, you take it as Krishna's mercy, Krishna's desire. Maybe Lord don't want to give me today something to eat. I'll not eat. I'll fast. So like that, people does the austerity. So he was into Ayachak Vritti. So then, when he was meditating on Krishna, then suddenly this young boy comes with a pot of milk, and he offers the milk. That, my dear sage, sitting here, and I heard from the neighboring some ladies who came to, for fetching some water from the nearby well. They saw that you were sitting since morning, you did not eat anything. So in this village, nobody goes hungry. So please take this pot of milk. And then he took that pot of milk, he drank this, and it was very, very, special taste. He never tasted such a milk. And somehow he found himself that he was naturally very enchanted by the beauty of that young boy. So though the boy left, but he couldn't forget that face in the mind. It kind of, he captured that image, that form of that attractive, charming boy. And he was thinking, why I'm so attracted to this young boy, and what kind of milk it is. It is so delicious. It is so nectarian it is. So like that, when he was thinking, and he in that meditation, he fell asleep. And to his surprise, the same boy came to his dream, and he says, this boy says that my name is Gopal, and I am actually, this is my village. I'm Gopal. And then soon he realized, who is Krishna himself? And I'm so unfortunate that I couldn't recognize Krishna came personally and he gave me the audience, but I couldn't, recognize his presence like that. And then Krishna in his dream gave him the instruction. He says, now I have a task for you. And the nearby place in the bush, you have to go and unearth me. So there is a deity of Gopalji there, and you have to go take the help of all the villagers and dig and take out my deity. For a long time, I am just there. So immediately he wakes up in the mid of the night, gathered all the villagers, and then he take out the deity of Gopalji, erect a beautiful temple with the help of all the villagers, and then he establishes the nice standard of worship to the deities. Story short, a lot of description, and then all Annakut ceremony and everything happened. And then the worship was going on, and a lot of people were visiting, thousands and thousands of people every day coming for the having darshan. A lot of seva was going on. 2 years passed by, and after 2 years, again the same Gopal came into the dream of Madhavendra Puri, and this time instruction was different. So now he told Gopalji tell to Madhavendra Puri that since I was for a long time I was under the earth, so there's a lot of heat is generated in my body. So I want you to go to Puri and get the chandan for me from there, and then bring the chandan, and then make the chandan paste and apply on my body. So that will cools my heat of body down like that. So immediately he gets up in the mid of the night and started walking out towards Jagannath Puri. In those days, there were no flights, no train tickets, no buses, no car, nothing. Had to walk all the way. So he did not thought even for a second. So that is what actually again a lot of instructions are given. Prabhupada writes nice purports. Prabhupada explains a devotee should be eager to do the seva like this. As soon as there is a seva opportunity, there should not be any second thought. Oh, this is the problem. How would I walk? How would I go? Because generally, that condition nature is we start calculating so much. I should have some money. I should have this arrangement, that arrangement. So we think I. The devotee like them, Krishna says, okay, walk. How you'll reach there, how many days it will take, what are the resources, where you will stay, where you will eat, no consideration. Krishna's instruction. So that is like complete surrender, full commitment to the Lord. So like that. So he started walking in, and after many, many days of travel, he reached to this place called Ramuna. So in the Ramuna, there is a temple of Gopinath. So then he made a stay there in Gopinath temple. And in the evening, when he attended the evening arti, so in this Gopinath temple, there is a tradition that every evening after the arti, they offer this Amrit Keli. Amrit Keli is like the sweet rice, very specially made sweet rice. So they offer to the deity every evening. So when the priest told about this Amrit Keli to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu while offering was going on, so immediately the thought crossed his mind, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought, I wish that if I can get little prasadam of this special sweet rice. So if I taste this, and then I want to prepare the same kind of Amrit Kheli for my Gopalji in Vrindavan. So that was the thought. His thought was not, I want to taste. I want to taste so that I can make that. But as soon as the thought crossed his mind, immediately he started scolding and cursing himself that what kind of person I am. Before Lord ate, I'm thinking of eating myself. I'm such a fallen soul. And when this kind of regret in the heart, he immediately left that place. He considered himself as an offender. He thought that I had done some offense. So he left. And then in the same night, this Gopinathji come in the dream of that priest who was worshipping. And then he revealed that how this Gopinathji, you know, hid one pot of sweet rice. And he says it should be delivered immediately to one of my devotee named Madhya. So to his shock that Gopinathji came to the dream, Pujari in the middle of the night, he woke up, got ready, and he opened the altar in the middle of the night, and then he found that yes, there is a sweet rice was there. And he was amazed to see that how I cleaned everything, but how the sweet pot rice is like the pot of sweet rice is still here. And then he was very excited and ecstatic. The Lord came to his dream. He took that pot and then he walked out and he started calling out, is there someone with the name Madhvendpuri here? The Lord personally stole the sweet rice for you. And then he found one sannyasi was sitting under a tree. He handed over and he narrated the whole story that how Lord has stolen this for you. And with that thought, this Madhvendpuri became very ecstatic. The Lord is so kind, so merciful that he stole this sweet rice for me and he ate the sweet rice and he started eating that mud pot also. And he was very, very happy and thanking the Lord, extending his gratitude to the Lord. When that was going on, then he immediately thought that now this news will break in the morning. All the villagers will get to know that, Gopinathji stole this sweet rice for me. Then they'll think that I am such a great devotee. Everybody will come, they bow down to me, they'll glorify me, and all of that come. But I don't want all this glorification. People will come and praise and appreciate, glorify. I don't want all of that. So before it, it morning happens, I should immediately leave, and I don't want all of that. So then he immediately left towards Jagannath Puri. The long story short is that here we see that how Lord so mercifully, so kindly reciprocates with his devotees like that. And these are all real pastimes that happened. The deities and the murti. Sometimes people call them idols. They're not idols. They're actually Sakshat Lord is standing there. The only thing is he will reciprocate based on your purity of your heart. How pure you are. Lord can reciprocate with the devotees. And later he reached to Jagannath Puri, managed to collect the chandan and comes back and going back to Vrindavan. And again, he stayed in the Ramuna temple. And this is the third time again, the same Gopalji came to his dream and he said, don't worry, now you apply this chandan to the Gopinathji here. To take it, carry it, a heavy load all the way to Vrindavan and apply it to the Gopinathji only. So this is a beautiful pastime that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu narrated when he was walking towards Jagannath Puri. And then he further walked and then he reached to the place called Katwa with Nityanand Prabhu. And now in the Katwa place, Nityanand Prabhu narrated another story. It's another beautiful story of Sakshi Gopal. So this story is that how that the two Brahmanas, one is old Brahmana, one is young, and they went to one pilgrimage one time. And this elderly Brahmana was very, very impressed by the attitude of young Brahmana, that service attitude, the assistant he receives from the young Brahmana all through his trip. So he was very, very grateful, and he wanted to express his grateful by offering his daughter in marriage to this young Brahman. So this young Brahmana, he refused. He says, considering his humble family background, that I come from a very poor family background. You are such a rich Brahmana, so I think it's not the right match. So I think this is not the right thing that you should be doing. You should consider with your family members. But this Brahmana, he says, I am the actually head of the family. Whatever I say, my family members have to accept. He says, okay, if you are offering such a beautiful girl in marriage, why should I refuse? So he accepted. And later, this elderly Brahmana came back home and he narrated that, this is the promise I gave to young Brahmana. So his young son was, furious on this elderly Brahmana, on his father, that how you can, give such a promise. This boy who is such a poor Brahmana, and without consulting with the family members, you just gave your sister to the marriage. So it is not possible. So he said, but I have given the promise. He said, don't worry about your promise. You just refuse if that young Brahmana comes. And he asked, you say, I forgot. I don't remember any promise. And rest will take care. So this elderly Brahmana, he couldn't do much. So after a few days, when this young Brahman comes, and he says, what about your promise? And this elderly Brahmana, he says, I forgot. I don't remember any promise. And actually, when he gave the promise that time, another thing I forgot to add. So he says that you have to give promise in front of the Lord, Gopalji. Tomorrow, if you forget or you deny, then there has to be someone as a witness. So in front of the Gopal deities in the temple, he gave that promise. Now this Brahmana came and he's saying, now I don't remember my promise. I never gave any promise. And this son, he threatening this young Brahmana that you're trying to take the advantage of elderly man. He's old man, he doesn't remember. And you tricked him, he might have said something and all of that. And he was threatening. He says, if he gave the promise, then is there someone who's a witness? Like there was somebody else who was there. Then the Brahmana thought, yes, there was a witness. He says, who is the witness? So the Gopalji was the witness in the temple. So he says, okay, you bring your Gopalji. So now he was very confident, this boy, that deity can't move like that. But this Brahmana boy, he was such a great devotee. He was having a lot of confidence, such a faith that Lord will come to give the witness. So he goes to the temple. He says, my dear Lord, you have to come all the way to Vidyanagar, sorry, where that elderly Brahmana was living. And this place was Katak. So he says, you have to come. So he was praying fervently like that, Lord, you have to come. And this is, my situation. You have to protect me. And you have to protect that elderly Brahmana also. As being the Brahmana, he gave me the promise. Now I know under the pressure of family, he is denying his promise, which is not a good thing for a Brahmana. So you have to protect that Brahmana also, and protect me also. Please come. So when he was praying very intensely, very fervently, then the deity spoke that, have you ever seen the deity walk? Why you are asking me to come all the way? So then this Brahmana says, if deity like you can talk, then you can walk also. So now don't talk anymore. Better you walk. So like that. So on the request and the devotion and the faith of one devotee, the devotee, actually this deity of Gopalji, walked all the way from Katak to Vidyanagar. And there was a condition that while I'm walking, you should go front, I'll follow you. Should never look back. And you will know only that I'm behind you, I'm walking behind you is that my ankle bells, the sound of ankle bells. So you will know. So they almost reached and entered the Vidyanagar. And then he thought suddenly the sound is not coming and he turned back. And then Krishna actually became the deity there. And then all the villagers they gathered and they realized that, this Gopalji walked all the way from Katak to Vidyanagar like that. And then the whole matter was resolved like that. So this was another narration. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was walking, so there is constantly narrations of Krishna's Lila, Krishna's pastimes. So that is what is when we go to any pilgrimage place, any Dham Yatra, we go to temple. That is how our consciousness should be absorbed. Sometimes people nowadays it has become fashion, and people go to Vrindavan. The thousands and thousands pilgrims comes there. People come as like a picnic spot. Go just visit some place, eat, enjoy, stay in some hotels and all of that. So the purpose of going to pilgrimage places, intensify your remembrance about the Lord, not only after reaching the place, but while on the way walking towards that place, your anticipation to now I'm going to the Dham, I'll get the darshan of the Lord, I'll receive the blessings of the Lord. Handsome pastimes is such a beautiful place, Vrindavan. The Lord performed a lot of Leela pastimes. So that should be the consciousness. Actually, there is a chapter in the Krishna book, the chapter, I think 38 chapter, Akrura's visit to Vrindavan. And very beautiful descriptions are given that how one should visit any dham, either it is Vrindavan or any pilgrimage place when we go. What should be our consciousness? It should not be like some kind of, you're going for some fun, some picnic spot like that. But how our consciousness should be absorbed. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his personal example, is teaching that how he constantly, engaged and absorbed and immersed in listening those wonderful Leela of the Lord like that. And then he walked further, and then another Leela happened, and that became famous as Dand Bhang Leela. So what happens here that when he was walking, so he was taking bath on one river called the Bhargi River, Bhargi Nadi. So he asked Nityanand Prabhu to hold his sannyasa danda, and he hold it. But what Nityanand Prabhu did, he actually broke his danda. That one danda was there. He broke it into three pieces. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came after the, his bath, he says, "Where is my rod?" He said, "What rod? Which rod?" He said, "I don't know where it is." And then he said, "What is this then?" And there three pieces were lying here. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, externally speaking, he was very, very upset that how dare you can break. So basically, why this Leela happened, it has been explained. Prabhupada explained the purpose that Nityanand Prabhu wanted to establish one thing, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, the Supreme Lord. He is beyond all this status, this Varnashram system, Grastha, Vanprastha, or Sannyasi. He is beyond all of that. He doesn't need to take any of all those, status like that. And also because he took the sannyasa from the Mayavada tradition, where is the one danda, it became three rods now. So that was also another significance. So like that. So now what happens here? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very, very upset, externally speaking. Internally was very happy that Leela happened, but externally he was very upset. He says, "I don't want to see all your face. Don't follow me." And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started walking ahead of all of them. He said, "Don't come close to me. I'm going to Jagannath Puri." So then he started, walking very fast, and he reached Jagannath Puri before every one of them. Then what happened? As soon as he reached Jagannath Puri, he became very ecstatic because the anticipation was there that I'm going to Jagannath Puri to see the Lord Jagannath. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered in the temple of Jagannath, and there is this thumb is there, right? And like, I don't know how many of you have been there to Jagannath Puri temple. So like, it's a big temple, very, very huge structure. And the altar is it is, far off, very inside. And then from the far, you had to see the darshan of the Lord. And you can, of course, walk in. So, but that Garudastham is like very far. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes there and he tried to see Jagannath from the far, holding on to that, touching on the Garudastham. And as soon as he got the glimpse of Jagannath darshan, immediately he fainted there. Why he fainted? Now, many of us might have been to Jagannath Puri. I've been many, many times, and I'm sure a lot of devotees might have been. We have seen Jagannath, but we don't faint. Why? So there is a very, very important significance of this Leela. Why he fainted? Because as soon as he saw Jagannath, he saw, "Oh, my dear Lord, you're sitting here, I'm searching everywhere." So he did not see Jagannath as a deity, some murti made of some wooden or some stone or something like that. He saw the Lord personally present there in that form. So as soon as he saw the deity of ecstasy, he fainted there. "No, my Lord." And then he started shouting out, calling out, "Jagannath, Jagannath." He couldn't say anything. And he fainted there. Then there is a whole crowd gathered there. Some sannyasi, very effulgent sannyasi, young sannyasi. He suddenly fainted there. And then people were like wondering, like, this person. So in that temple, Jagannath temple, there is the head priest. His name was Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He belonged to the Mayavada impersonal tradition. So impersonalists are like, it's a different philosophy that you become one with the Lord. But that is the fallacy in their understanding. It's per the standard of Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. But he was a very scholarly person, well read. So when he came and he saw and he checked that who is this young boy and the kind of symptoms he could see, and then immediately figured out that this person is not some ordinary person. The kind of symptoms he was manifesting in his body, he immediately could understand that these are the symptoms of ecstasy. So now these are all again technical details. When somebody really experience ecstasy, then there's a different kind of symptoms manifest. They're called astavikar, like the person, start sometime breathing heavily, and there is a perspiration, the hair stand on end, and those kind of things, bodily symptoms happens when somebody by seeing the Lord or in any way you feel ecstasy. Of course, we cannot artificially imitate all of those things. They're all very advanced stage. So this Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya could immediately recognize that this person is not some ordinary person. Then he immediately took him to his house, and he was wondering like he should come to consciousness, but he was still unconscious. And in the meantime, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's other associates like Nityanand Prabhu, Jagdanand Pandit, and all of them, they came running and searching where is that young sannyasi. They're asking the people. And then somebody informed them there was a young sannyasi in the temple, fainted. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya took him to their house. So probably you go and meet them. You will see them. So then all of them, all the associates, they go and they found that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was lying there unconscious. And this Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya were trying that he should come back to the consciousness. Then as soon as all these associates came, they started loudly chanting Hare Krishna mantra. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the Hare Krishna mantra, then he regained his consciousness back. And now it's a whole long episode. So there, the Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was a little concerned. He thought he's such a young sannyasi, 24 years old at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very fulgent, and looks like he has not read the scriptures. So I should help him to teach and educate about the philosophy. So he says, okay, I'll teach you. He says, okay, teach me, no problem, because he was very elderly person and very scholarly also. So he started giving that discourse to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And his interpretation, his explanation was all Mayavada, all impersonal interpretation. So for 7 days he gave the discourse, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting, stone silent, nothing saying. So he got confused whether this young boy is able to comprehend what I'm talking, or he just simply just 7 days it happened. He did not say any single word. He's not asking any question. So after 7 days, he asked whether you're understanding anything what I'm talking, or everything is going on top of your head. He says, actually, in my understanding, what you're talking, all this Srimad Bhagavatam and all these scriptures you are explaining, it is very simple to understand. But your explanation is very, very complex. I cannot understand, I cannot follow what you are explaining. It looks like you distorted the entire meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he says, okay, if you are saying to me, you're challenging me, I'm such a scholarly person that I distorted, then can you explain me that what is your understanding? And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started explaining him the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the personal interpretation that God is a person. God is not some imperson, some light, some Shakti, some Jyoti, some energy. These kind of ideas keep floating around. It's a bogus interpretation on the scriptures. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the personal understanding on the scriptures. He says God is a person, but he is not a person like you and me. He is the transcendental, supreme personality of Godhead. And like that he explained. And the Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was highly impressed by the explanation of this young sannyasi. And then he got convinced. And then he realized that this boy is not some ordinary person. The kind of explanation he gave. There is one verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is famous as Atma Rama verse. Atma Ramasya Munyo Nirgranthe Api Urukramaha. So this is famous in the Srimad Bhagavatam as Atmaram verse. It's a very, very technical verse. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave 61 different explanation on one verse. Like just to explain one verse, you should know so much. He gave 61 different kind of explanation on one verse. And then Sarvama realized that he cannot be ordinary person. And they soon realized he is actually the Supreme Lord himself. And then he submitted himself, and then he became a very, very staunch devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So though he was a Mayavadi sannyasi, but then he became the Vaishnava devotee. So that is what is Sarvama's salvation. And then because he was a very, very scholarly person, and he composed 100 verses in the glorification of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He glorifies that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually Krishna himself. So like that we can refer those verses. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the end, actually he showed his form of Radha and Krishna. He revealed that form because he already understood. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed his form of Radha and Krishna to Sarvama Bhattacharya, and he delivered like that. Okay, go next. So, of course, this was all about Jagannath Puri, from Mayapur to Jagannath Puri. In very short, I explained the whole thing. Detailed description, please refer to Srila Prabhupada Chaitanya Charitamrita. You will learn a lot of wonderful lessons, practical applications, and how to apply them to practice the spiritual path. Okay, after that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided that I should go to South India, right? So then he decided that because sannyasis generally have the license to travel all the time. See that, okay? It has been quite a few months that I spent in Puri. Now I should go to South India. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is traveling to South India. That whole episode of South India tour itself is a very long episode in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He traveled almost like 6 years. Sorry, total 6 years. But South India tour was for 2 years, and he walked for 4,000 miles, going and visiting a lot of temples, because we know that how South India, there's a lot of ancient temples are there. So he visited many, many temples. So we'll take just one or two episodes from the South India tour. One of the very, very most important episode from his South India tour is his meeting with another devotee called the Ramananda Rai. So when he started walking towards South India, then the Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya informed him that in South India you will meet this one great devotee. His name is Ramananda Rai. He was the governor of one of the province. He says, externally speaking, he is the governor in a government service, but he is a great devotee, so you must meet him. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had this meeting with Ramananda Rai on the request of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And this particular section is a very, very deep subject to understand the Vaishnava philosophy. So there is a conversation happens, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started asking a lot of questions that please tell me, what is the essence of all the scriptures? Then Ramananda Rai started explaining that Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Na Sauchati Na Kankshati from Bhagavad Gita he quotes. He said, no, this is external. Tell me a little more. Then he says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. Surrender everything. That is the last verse of Bhagavad Gita we discussed. He said, no, this is external. Tell me more. Then he started explaining the verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. Lot of verses. We cannot really get into the detail, because to discuss this episode itself will take 3 sessions minimum. It is that detailed and very intense and very depth, so much, deep. So like that, he says, whatever he says, okay, tell me more, tell me more. So now Ramananda Rai is going next. He says, finally, worshipping Krishna as the Supreme Lord, and worshipping Krishna uh, as your friend in the Sakha Bhav, worshipping Krishna as in the Salya Bhav, like as a parent. And then further he goes and he says, worshipping Krishna in the Madhurya Bhav, like the gopis. So like that, very detailed description is there. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he heard that worshipping Krishna like the gopis, because this description of gopis worshipping Krishna is not very openly discussed in the scriptures, because most of the people might misunderstand that. If somebody is not qualified to understand at that level, people will see, oh, Krishna is young boy, some gopis are young girls, they're dancing in Vrindavan, some Ras Lila in the night. What is this young boy and young girls? So The scripture does not talk very openly unless somebody reaches that level of consciousness. So gradually he's bringing them. And then he heard, then he says, okay, tell me more, tell me more. Finally bring to that level. And then he was very, very happy. And then finally, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually gave him also his darshan as Radha Krishna. Showed that actually I'm the combined form of Radha and Krishna. So that is the episode of this Ramananda Rai in South India tour. In very short, I explained. Then he goes to further to Sri Rangam temple. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes and reaches in Sri Rangam temple. He found this Brahmana, poor Brahmana, illiterate Brahmana, who was sitting outside the temple and trying to read Bhagavad Gita, copy of Bhagavad Gita, and constantly tears were rolling down from his eyes. And there are a lot of people walking in and they're just making fun of him. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was intrigued by seeing that he so intensely absorbed in trying to read Bhagavad Gita and unaffected by all the people making, mocking him, making fun of him. So he goes to this Brahmana, he says that, what are you trying to do? So he says, my dear sage, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was like a sannyasi. So he says, I'm trying to read Bhagavad Gita because my guru, my spiritual master, he asked me to read Bhagavad Gita. But the sad part of the story is I'm an illiterate person. I don't know how to read. But my guru told me, so I'm trying to follow the instruction of my guru. Now, this is one lesson that we all should learn. When guru's instruction comes, we should try our best, irrespective of whether we are qualified or not. But we should not say, oh no, I cannot do this, I cannot do that. Most of the people there just externally we calculate. We don't even try also. But here is called the Guru Nishta. What is Guru Nishta? He told me to read Bhagavad Gita. I'm illiterate. I don't know how to read. I'm trying. And he was holding the Bhagavad Gita upside down, ulta. He doesn't know that how to read, how to even hold the book. He says, you are illiterate. You don't know how to read. You're holding the book upside down. But I see that you're crying. If you can't read, you can't understand anything. And why are you crying? So then he says, though I cannot read anything, but when I see this picture on Bhagavad Gita where Krishna becomes the charioteer driver to Arjuna. So by seeing that picture, that very thought that Krishna, the Supreme Lord, Ananda Koti Brahmanda Nayak, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how kind and merciful the Supreme Lord is, that is ready to become the driver for his devotee. So by thinking the kindness and then, Lord's reciprocation with his devotee, the thought itself, my heart is melting. And naturally, all these tears are flowing from my eyes. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced him immediately. He says, you are illiterate, externally speaking, but actually you understood the true essence of Bhagavad Gita. So now what we learn from this story, a lot of things we can learn, but one lesson is, see, understanding the scripture does not depend on our materialistic qualification. That you know Sanskrit and you have very sharp memory, you can memorize all the verses, you can discuss nicely, very intellectually, very logically, and then you'll understand. No, that is not the criteria. Criteria is different. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is already showing as example. To connect to the Lord, to approach the Lord is not by scholastic approach, but by love and devotion. So if you have that devotion in your heart, then the knowledge will be revealed into your heart. That is the process and that is the secret. So that episode happened in the Sri Rangam in the South India tour. Go next. Okay. And a lot of other things also happen. I just made it like very, very short. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned back to Puri for his next phase of preaching. Further after 2 years of South India tour. The 2 year we covered in like maybe 10 minutes. It's very detailed description, but just give you some idea. So what happened when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling to South India, he was only one person was only assisting him. His name was Kala Krishna Das. So he was like kind of an assistant to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was going. So when he was on a tour, something happened there. He got attracted to some tribal when they were passing through some, tribal area. So this assistant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he got attracted, got into a trap of some tribal women, some gypsies. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually has to, revive him back. That he was just going behind a woman. And he said, what is this nonsense? Come back. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu literally dragged him from there. So now there is a lesson. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. Somebody says, oh, Krishna is right there. And how that person can go into Maya? Yes, you can go into Maya still if you are not careful, even though Krishna is right there. But if you are not following the instruction of Krishna, then despite Krishna is there, we can still fall into the Maya. So sometimes people say, oh, Prabhuji, we are chanting Hare Krishna, we are reading Bhagavad Gita, but still, so many things, so much Maya in our life. Why it is so like that? Why Krishna is not protecting us from all these materialistic desires, all these illusory things? So we should understand very carefully. Unless we are very committed to follow Krishna's instructions, as it is, and Krishna also respects your free will. You want to go into Maya, go. So Kala Krishna Das, he was actually trapped into Maya. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revived him back somehow. And then as soon as he came back to Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed a resolution, a order. Says, I don't want to see the face of this Kala Krishna Das anymore. So now his heart broke. Like it's kind of the Supreme Lord is rejecting you. What more can be a misfortune? So he cried bitterly and all of that. Like forgiveness. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no more discussion. I don't want to see his face. So then all the other devotees actually they pleaded to the Lord. And my dear Lord, please don't reject. If you reject someone like that, what is the hope? There's no other hope. The Lord only rejects. So please consider it. He said no. And then, they requested, okay, if you don't want to see, but engage him some service. He can do some seva for you. And we'll assign one seva to him. And what is his seva? He'll go to Mayapur now and inform all the devotees in Mayapur that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has returned back from South India too. So he will act as a messenger. That much seva you give. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agreed. Now, Prabhupada explains one very beautiful point there. He says that sometimes the devotees are more merciful than the Lord himself. Lord might reject you, but you take the shelter of the devotees of the Lord, then they can even plead to the Lord, and Lord can accept you through the devotees. So that is what is the Vaishnava philosophy is. We never try to reach directly to the Lord. We always try to go to the Lord through Lord's devotees like Srila Prabhupada and the whole Guru Parampara. We never say, oh no, I am devotee of Krishna. That there is a ego in that also. I'm devotee of Krishna. Krishna is Supreme Lord. I'm devotee. Like you are a big thing. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches Gopi Bharatu Padakamalayo or Das Das Dasanu Das. That is the philosophy. That who am I? I am not servant of Krishna. I am not devotee of Krishna. I am devotee of the devotee of the devotee of the devotee of Krishna. Krishna's devotees, devotees, devotees. Like that, I am somewhere very far off. That is what is. So that is called humility. So when we go through the devotees, then there is always a hope. If we commit mistake, devotees are very kind-hearted. So they engaged him, they sent him to Mayapur. And when he goes to Mayapur and he broke the news that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is back to the Puri. And immediately there's a lot of excitement, all the devotees, they say, okay, let us go to Puri now. And all those devotees started traveling to Puri because they're all great devotees. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left Mayapur after taking sannyasa. The being eagerly waiting. So now there is a news that okay, you can come and see him in Jagannath Puri. So all the devotees they come to Jagannath Puri, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came back from the tour, and he made Jagannath Puri as his headquarters. All the rest of his Lila, all his pastimes, will happen in Jagannath Puri from here on. So what are the some Leelas in Jagannath Puri? A lot of things. So in the last class I explained that last 18 years he spent in Jagannath Puri. In that 18 years, 6 years he spent in the association of a lot of devotees. People are coming, meeting, he's attending some Rath Yatra, some Kirtan and all of that. But later 12 years, he was completely concealed himself. He was not meeting anyone. And that we'll be discussing. That is the discussion for the Antelila, the later part of the discussion. But now we are talking about this initial 6 years. So what happens when all these devotees came, and then there is a meeting of all the devotees, and with the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is a Rath Yatra festival. As we all know that Jagannath Puri is famous for Rath Yatra festival. Since ages it is happening there, and all the devotees from around the world they come there. So all these devotees from Mayapur they came, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu received them well, and personally goes one by one and he meet them. He give them the garland, and he asks that how are you, how was your journey and all of that. So like that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching by his personal example that how one should receive, how one should welcome the devotee when somebody comes. Like that, personally, the Supreme Lord is going and attending each and every one of them. And there's thousands of devotees came from Mayapur. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to teach. So that was one thing happened, that meeting with all the Bengali Vaishnavas. Then after that, Rath Yatra was happening and there is a Kirtan. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made the whole Kirtan party. This is famous as Beda Kirtan. So means he made many different groups of Kirtan, like 7 main parties and then sub parties like that. The whole description is given because Rath Yatra, like lakhs of people come. Now in those days, there is no sound system. Even traditionally in Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra, they don't use the sound system even today. So now you have to sing the Kirtan. Now there are lakhs of people. How like anybody would listen in the crowd your Kirtan? So there is a whole system has been explained through this chapter. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will arrange the whole Kirtan party in such a way. So he'll make 7 parties, 7 singers he'll identify. And then surrounded by 4 follow singers, then 2 mridanga players, kartal players, one small group, then another group, then another group, and they'll spread around. And then one group, further people will follow, and another group, further people will follow. So like that it will spread. So the whole environment, the whole sky was, liberated by chanting the holy name of the Lord when the Rath Yatra was happening. And now interesting thing happened was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expanded himself into 7 parties. So every single party was thinking that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is with us, mid of us. Everybody was thinking, oh, he's with us. So everybody is very excited, and there's a tumultuous kirtan there. And then the whole sky, top to bottom, and vibrating with chanting the holy name of the Lord. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches this Beda Kirtan. And then the last part is, so when in Rath Yatra, the carts start from Jagannath temple and it goes to the end, which is another temple called the Gundicha temple. And before this, Jagannath mounts on the chariot and then he goes there, reaches, there has to be marjan. Marjan means cleansing of the temple. So there is a tradition of cleansing the Gundicha temple. This is called the Mandir Marjan, Gundicha Marjan. It's a famous even in Jagannath Puri. These are all famous, events that happens during Rath Yatra like that. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged all his associates. Let us go and nicely, thoroughly cleanse the temple. Now, all these pastimes, they had a great significance in all our sadhaka's journey. When we want to advance in the spiritual life, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching by his personal examples through this Lila. So when he's meeting all the devotees, he's teaching if you are interested in your spiritual progress. The first principle is sadhusang, association of devotees. Without devotees association, you cannot advance. Say, no, I'll read all the books, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Ramayana, I know Sanskrit, I memorized all the verses. You can do all that. You can become a scholar, but you cannot develop the devotion in the heart. So here is a principle. First thing is, so the meeting the Vaishnava refers to the sadhu sang. Then when you come in the sadhu sang, in the association of devotees, what you should be doing there? So somebody asked Prabhupada that Swami, you are building all these temples all around. Why are you building so many temples? Prabhupada says, I'm creating all these temples to give the opportunity for everyone to do this satsang, sadhusang, real sadhusang. Otherwise, people outside world, there is no opportunity sadhusang. You go, you can talk all kinds of things to all kind of people. But where is the opportunity where people will talk about all such things? Scriptures about Krishna, about bhakti, the goal of life like that. So important is when you come in the sadhusang, what you should be doing is Krishna Katha and chanting Krishna's name. It's not some kind of a platform to socialize. Okay, let us go to temple. I have some good friends there. I know this Prabhuji, this Mataji. I know a lot of people, a lot of friends. We'll go socialize. We'll eat nice prashadam. We'll dance, Haribol. We talk, chit chat, nicely enjoy and come back. So people think it's like a sattvic entertainment. Instead of going to some movies, some cinema, some parties, I don't like that. I'll go to temple. I'll do all my chit chat there, socialize there. No, that is not the purpose. Purpose is Krishna Katha and Nam Sankirtan. So through this, Abeda Kirtan, he's saying when you meet all the devotees and all of us together, what we should do? We should talk about Krishna, Krishna's Lila, Krishna's teachings like Bhagavad Gita, Krishna chanting the Krishna's name, Kirtan like that we should do. So we should be very careful that what we should do in the temple. Okay. And then when we do that, then what happens by that process? So this process is explained in the scriptures that how our bhakti progresses. So it starts with Adav Shraddha. Bhakti begins with Shraddha. If somebody doesn't have little Shraddha, little faith, then you can challenge everything. Oh, where is God? This is not God. This is a murti, patthar ka murti, stone statue, this, that. You can talk 100 things like that. But one should have little faith, little Shraddha. I'm going to temple and Lord is there. Lord's presence is there. That is how it begins. You may not know the philosophy, but when you go in the temple, then you'll do Shraddha, then Sadhu Sangha happens. You meet the devotees. And when you meet the bona fide devotees, then what happens? Some discussion happens. And with that discussion, your understanding builds up. And with that understanding, you realize, okay, I should be chanting Krishna's name. That is the most important thing. I should be reading Gita, Bhagavatam, and all that. Should spend, dedicate some time every day chanting and reading. So that bhajan kriya happens. And then bhajan kriya, what happens? The fourth most important stage is anartha nivritti. Anartha nivritti means there's a lot of contamination in our heart. Lust, anger, greed, jealousy, so many kind of things are there. And somebody thinks that, no, I don't have any of those things. Then that is called illusion. So that is also there in the heart. None of us are free from this lust, anger, greed. Degree may vary. Somebody is more lusty, somebody is more greedy, somebody is more envious, but it is there. Maybe we never thought about all of those things, but it is all there. So that has to be cleansed in the heart. If we are seriously interested in advancing in spiritual life, with all this dirt, all this contamination, there's no place in the heart that Lord can come. The whole idea of doing all this is that Lord should come into our heart, but Lord doesn't come in a dirty place. If our heart is contaminated with all these things, so that cleansing, how this cleansing happens? So that cleansing happens in the association of devotees when we do the bhajan kriya, chanting the holy name, listening about Krishna, reading about Krishna, doing some seva to Krishna. So this particular pastime of Rath Yatra festival, sadhu sang, kirtan, namjap, and then anartha nivritti happens, cleansing of the heart. So this mandir marjan. That is why in our temple, we have this opportunity for mandir marjan every Sunday afternoon. When we do this Sunday program, after that 12 o'clock class and prasadam serving, we serve the prasadam to thousands of devotees. And after that, the temple has to brought back to the, its original state. Thousands of people come, they eat, and all kinds of thing happens. Then all of us together go, and then we all do mandir marjan. Everybody voluntarily try to clean the temple in whatever little way, little bit we can do. Spend some few minutes. Somebody vacuum the carpet. Somebody goes in the kitchen, wash the vessels, and somebody just set up the chairs, table back, wipe them, mop the floor. So this is such a powerful. It might look, oh, what is this? You are asking me to mop the floor. What is this? You don't know who am I? I'm a big CEO of the company. You might be whatever you are. But when we come to the temple of the Lord, then we come with a thought of that I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. When we come with that attitude, then only we can advance in the spiritual life. Otherwise, our ego still continue. I am big thing. I am this. I am that. There is no point of doing all these things. So that is how this Mandir Marjan is such a powerful seva. The devotees voluntarily want to do. You might have seen traditionally also in some temple, they have some chapel stand where some devotees, voluntarily they go. They'll take your chappals in their hands and they'll put in the rack like that. So people voluntarily want to do that to crush their ego. This is seva. A lot of purification happens in the heart. Otherwise, what happens? We don't do this kind of menial services. And you say, okay, I'm chanting, I read Bhagavad Gita, I learned the whole Bhagavad Gita, I memorized all the 700 verses, now I'm reading Srimad Bhagavatam, everything, and that, boost your ego. Oh, you don't know Bhagavad Gita? I'll teach you. This kind of ego comes. This is what is your conditioned nature. So along with learning all of that, do some practical devotional service, some seva in the temple, wherein you might be someone very big shot in the outside world. But when we come to the temple, we remove all our material labels. I'm big, I'm small, or something like that. We think we are all here as the sevak of the Lord. Let us do some nice seva in the temple with a lot of cooperation with all the devotees. So that kind of attitude, this kind of humility, tolerance, a lot of things develops. That's the whole idea of a spiritual life. So sometimes people miss out all of those things. I'm going to temple For so many years, I'm listening, I'm reading, I'm hearing, and there's no transformation in the heart. So the transformation has to happen. Then otherwise the purpose is defeated. Okay, so this is a very, very significant pastime here. And then actually, maybe some other time, we will be celebrating Rath Yatra soon. We do in our temple. That time I'll do exclusive session on Rath Yatra, and we'll understand there that what is the significance of this Jagannath Rath Yatra, who is Jagannath, and what is the significance of doing this Rath Yatra. What is such an important, festival in devotee life. In fact, Srila Prabhupada, when he was very small, he was just 5 year old. He was so fascinated toward this Jagannath Rath Yatra that as a 5 year old boy, he conducted his own Rath Yatra, like a small 3 feet high chariot that his father bought. And then, Prabhupada, as a small 5 year old boy, he invited all the, neighbors, his friends, and all the ladies. They cooked nice preparation. Small Jagannath was mounted on the small chariot. And then Prabhupada was actually playing Mridanga and doing Kirtan. And all his friends are pulling the cart. It's beautiful, Lila. So anyway, in some other occasion, we'll discuss in detail. I'll just, wrap up with this. So now, in Jagannath Puri, there was this king called Pratap. He was also a great devotee of the Lord. And this Pratap was having an intense desire to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, interesting thing was, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as being the sannyasi. One of the rule of the sannyasi is, sannyasi never associate with anyone who is materialistic person. That is one of the rule of the sannyasi. He doesn't go and meet them. So he says, king is the most materialistic person. He's always engaged in all these worldly affairs. And his desire was to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he pleaded some of the devotees that please, arrange my meeting. And he says, it's very difficult. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will agree, but we can still, plead and propose to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu if he agrees. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu outrightly rejected his proposal. He says, what are you talking? I'm not supposed to meet any Vishay. He called Vishay. Vishay means one who is engaged in materialistic activities called Vishay. So his heart was broken. And then he was such a wonderful devotee. He said, if I in my life, if I cannot meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Lord himself, I cannot see him, then what is the point of living this life? Better I'll end my life. He came to that extent. Then devotee specified him. He said, just have some patience, wait for the right time, maybe Lord will show some mercy. And like that, this devotee is again and again going and pleading on behalf of this king. My dear Lord, he's a great devotee. Should at least meet him once. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like close his ears like this. Said this kind of thoughts, this kind of words also I can't hear. Forget about meeting. Not to hear such proposals like that. The devotees, as and when they find the opportunity, they'll go and request Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart started melting. So again, same principle. The devotees of the Lord sometimes more merciful than the Lord. The Lord may reject you. But when your proposal goes through the devotees, then there is a chance that your proposal will be accepted. And that is the mood of Vrindavan. So if you go in Vrindavan, you see everyone practically in Vrindavan, they don't chant Krishna's name. They say Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe, everyone. Even the rickshawala also say Radhe Radhe. He don't you do all that ting ting. But he say Radhe Radhe, chalo chalo, something like that. So the understanding is when people say Radhe Radhe, they're all devotees of Radharani. And who's the Radharani? Our scriptures explain Radharani, the topmost devotee of Krishna. She's the pinnacle of devotion. So when somebody attains the favor of Radharani, then your path to Krishna is very easy. So that's the understanding here. So in this particular case, we see that Pratap, so later Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually did not agree. But when Rath Yatra was happening, this king violently, he took the broomstick, jhadu, and he started brooming the road. There is a tradition in the Rath Yatra, when Lord is going on the road, so road has to be cleaned. So the tradition is first the king should clean the road, the broomstick. Now king is a big person, how he can broom like that? He has thousands of servants to do all that stuff. But in front of the Lord, king is the servant. So that is the tradition. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw this king is, very humbly brooming, and that is when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart melted. And then, of course, it's a long story, but later he met Prataprudra and he blesses him. So Prataprudra also and got the blessings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, three things we can learn, long story short, three things from this episode of Prataprudra, that if we want to get the audience of the Lord, we want the blessings of the Lord, three things. Go next. Okay, three principles. One thing is strong desire. So he was not ready to give up. He was having very intense desire that I want to meet the Lord. I want to meet the Lord. So one should have the desire that, and one should have the conviction that nothing of this world, all is materialistic, which is okay to have, but nothing of this world is going to make me happy unless I get the favor, the blessings, the mercy of the Lord. That desire should be there, number one. But the desire alone, it should be coupled with the direction, how to execute the desire. So the direction is devotee's guidance. Desire is there. I want to receive the blessings of the Lord. I want to develop the love for the God. But how to develop that? You need always guidance. Those who are already very advanced on that path, they'll give you the guidance from the scriptures. So desire, direction. And the third thing is determination. Despite multiple failures, oh, I did this way, I did that way. I try to read Bhagavad Gita, not understanding. I'm chanting every day. My mind is going here, there. Doesn't seems like, I'm getting absorbed in chanting. Nothing is working out. No taste, no understanding. Don't give up. Determined. And that determination will attract Krishna's attention. Krishna will show the mercy. And that is what happened. He was very, very determined, taking guidance from his devotees. And finally, he receives the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is what we learn. And then last portion, we are extending a little time limit, but I think it's a long section. So there's another unfulfilled aspiration of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now you remember in the very beginning, as soon as he took sannyas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what he did? People forget. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to Vrindavan, but he was tricked. He couldn't go to Vrindavan. So that was a long, unfulfilled aspiration. He wanted to go to Vrindavan. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided, okay, now this is the time I should go to Vrindavan. So then he took the permission of all the devotees. They are not willing to let him go because they're so attached to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they couldn't even imagine their life without Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, seeing him one day. They couldn't imagine. So, very reluctantly they agreed. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was walking. And when he was going to Vrindavan, and there is one place called the Ram Keli. There he met the Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. So there he met, and they're all great devotees. Later, the Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, they'll become the principal associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one of the six Goswamis, two of the six Goswamis. So he met them, and they were working as the ministers to on the king at the time in that province. He was a Muslim king, Nawab Hussain Shah. So they're working there, but they were the great devotee. They submitted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but they requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because when he was walking, he was attracting thousands of devotees because his effulgence was like that. So thousands of people were following him. So because they were the minister and they were well informed about the routes and all of that, so they actually instructed Chaitanya, not instructed but requested,
Jai Shri
not
Krishna.
go with such kind of a crowd. Now, there will be a lot of danger for you. Now, there are some Muslim kings, they might become envious, they might actually try to harm you. So better you return back. So unfortunately, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again reluctantly has to return back to Puri. But this, failure of this attempt actually intensified his desire to go Vrindavan more and more. And he was waiting for the right time. And then later, there is a time, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided, okay, now nothing should be able to stop me. I'll go this time, finally. And then he started walking towards Vrindavan. And now this beautiful pastime happened when he was going through the jungle. It's called the Jharikhanda forest. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was walking, along with two of his assistant, on the request of some devotees, they said you should take them. One of the assistant will hold all your water pot and your danda. So when you chant and you dance, you are free. And also another servant will help you to arrange some food, bag arms and cook for you. Like that. So he agreed. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was walking through this forest, So what happened? He was chanting, doing kirtan. In the forest, all the wild animals, wild tigers and then powerful elephants and all the deers and all of that. All the animals came together. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying, okay, now everyone should chant Krishna, Krishna. And all the animals, they started chanting Krishna, Krishna. And they started dancing. It's a very famous episode. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. He made even animals to chant and dance like that. And he showed this is what is Vrindavan is. So in Vrindavan, everyone comes together in a spiritual harmony. And here in this particular episode, you see that so symphonically, all these animals together, they're chanting and dancing. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this episode, he showed his supremacy. The Lord can do all these things. And then he walked further. He reached to Varanasi. There's a lot of description, but I'm just keeping it very, very short. In Varanasi, he saw that whole city is actually the city seat of learning, Varanasi, Banaras. And it's a seat of learning. Like anybody wants to learn the scripture, they should go to Banaras. Even today also. But in those days, it was very, very prominent. But unfortunately, it was dominated by all the impersonalists, all the Mayavadi sannyasis. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was thinking, and this all the head of the Mayavadi sannyasis, Prakashananda Saraswati. He was criticizing, condemning this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, saying, who is this young sannyasi, sentimentalist, emotionally? Why is not reading the scripture sitting at one place, simply chanting and dancing? Like that, he was actually condemning. He says he is simply just tricking the people, hypnotizing the people with some trick. Like that, he's a fake, bogus sannyasi. Like that, he made the comment on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought that this is not the time to encounter because priority was go to Vrindavan. So he goes to Vrindavan, and then when he goes to Vrindavan, and he was very, very ecstatic, and then there he did all the Brajmandal Parikva, visited lot of places where all Krishna's Lila happens, and he felt so much of emotions, spiritual emotions, and then finally he started heading back towards Puri. When he was coming back to Puri, then in Prayag, this place called Prayag, he met Rupa Goswami, and this is called, he instructed Rupa Goswami for 10 days, and that becomes famous as Rupa Siksha later. So where it's a very prominent section in our scriptures where he explains the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. You know, who am I? We are the soul, part and parcel of Krishna. Who is Krishna? And all of that, all details. And then later, further he went, and in Banaras, in the Ashwamedh Ghat, he met Sanatana Goswami, and then he had discussion with Sanatana Goswami for 3 months, and that becomes famous as Sanatana Siksha. Now, this Rupa Goswami Siksha and Sanatana Goswami Siksha, it forms the foundation of the entire philosophy of this Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Because so far there was no literatures given. Now the literature has to come. See, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is just going, traveling, and making everyone to chant, but there is nothing organized. But in the future generation, to follow for the people, there has to be organized efforts. So he met this Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami now, and he assigned them the 4 items. And what are the 4 items? I think you left back. No, I think it will come. It will come further. Go. So, yeah. No, next. Go next. So he assigned 4 activities, 4 items to go next. Go further. Yeah, these are the instructions he gave. So 4 items they should do, all the Goswamis. One thing is they should identify the holy places. So in Vrindavan, what happened? All the places were lost, covered with the forest. So he says, now you go and excavate all the places of Lila. That is one. Second one is teach the people and give in writing the standard of deity worship and build the temples. So in the future, how people will continue? There should be temples and there should be standard of deity worship, and also write the scriptures, devotional literature. So that is where the whole thing started becoming organized. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appointed all these 6 Goswamis to organize the whole movement for the future generation to follow. And the 6 Goswamis A lot of things happens. We'll discuss more. And that is where this whole Madhya Lila ends. It was very, very brief. As I said, this one section itself can be discussed for the entire session. There's many such episodes are there. Just to give you the overview. So hopefully people and the devotees will feel inspired to read this book, Chaitanya Charitamrita, sometime in the future. That's, as I said, it's a postgraduate study. First, everybody should read Bhagavad Gita, and then you read Srimad Bhagavatam, and then you read Chaitanya Charitamrita. But there's no hard and fast rule that you should read after only. One can read even before also. The beauty of Chaitanya Charitamrita is a lot of stories are there. So you don't really feel overwhelmed with all the philosophy. So philosophy is cloud with a lot of stories. Through all this, Chaitanya was traveling, meeting someone, talking someone, like that. It becomes very interesting to read like that, right? So this is Madhya Lila. And then later, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes back to Puri. He reached back to Puri. And then rest of his years, like 12 more years, and we'll see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in very intense mood with his devotees, and that constitute the last part of the Antilila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which we'll discuss in the next session. Okay, so we'll pause here. I know that I exceeded already the time limit. Any one or two quick question or anything anybody has? Okay, no questions. People, only question might be that when it will end.
Prabhu, one small question.
Yeah.
So you said, right, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has explained, shown Radha Krishna form to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya ji and Ramananda. Only these are the two personalities he has shown Radha Krishna, or any other else also?
Yeah, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, these two personalities are mentioned. So to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, I think he showed the Shadbhuja form. There is one form of Krishna called Shadbhuja form. And to Ramananda Rai, Radha Krishna form. Yeah, these two only.
Okay, thanks, Prabhu.
Okay, so now question I see in the chat. Why is satsang necessary for devotion? If you have Shraddha and Mumuksha. Keeping company of other devotees help our mind focused on devotion by bereft of support from other devotees. By benefit of support from other devotees. Yes, your understanding is correct. I'll just add one more thing is, without associating devotees, if we try to walk on this path that we think, okay, we'll read the scriptures. Sometimes we may misinterpret what is given in the scriptures. Or sometimes we may not figure out that how to really implement a certain instruction which is mentioned in the scriptures. So in that case, what happens? The devotees association helps a lot. You don't know that how to implement, but you will see already there's so many devotees already practicing certain things, and you take the ready solutions from them. That is one. And also, I think some of you are not there in my beginning sessions. I did a 6-session series in that I discussed about one of the session, the importance of this association, the power of association. So a lot of things happens when we chant Krishna's name, or consciousness gets purified. When we eat Krishna Prasadam, our whole existence, our whole body gets purified. They say that by chanting, your man gets purified. By eating Prasadam, your tan gets purified. By giving charity to Krishna, your dhan gets purified, right? But one very important thing has to be purified, which won't happen so easily. And what is that? Or ego. You might be a great devotee, you're coming in the temple, reading Bhagavad Gita, and that might result in boosting your ego more and more. No, I know the whole Bhagavad Gita. I can teach you, I know more than that. How that ego will be purified? There's no way to purify ego except one way. That is, you come in the association of devotees and practice. Then what happens? You're supposed to be in a certain etiquette. So you say, oh, I'm a big man. But when you come in the temple, somebody will ask you, can you just mop the floor? Immediately your ego comes. Oh, how you gonna ask me mop the floor? You don't know who am I? I'm the CEO of the company. One time, two time, somebody will say something. Somebody who will be giving you the instruction, giving the lecture, might be, very young in age. You have to take the instruction. Your ego is, I'm a big man, I'm an elderly man, gray hair, I have big kids. The person who is speaking, I have my kid bigger than him. All these kind of egos. But then that association teaches us that keep all your ego aside and then humbly try to do some seva. So this association of devotees plays a very, very significant role in our spiritual advancement. So it is highly recommended, and it is again and again. You read Bhagavad Gita, you read Bhagavatam, you read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Again and again, it is reinforced, insisted. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Khoy. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. This is the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says, if you want to take one thing from as a conclusion of all the scriptures, forget everything. And one thing is this: Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha. If you learn this, that okay, one essence is that I had to be in the association of devotees. Sarva Shastra Ko, this is the conclusion of all the scriptures. All scriptures unanimously tells you that be in the association of devotees. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi. For a momentary association of a devotee can result in Sarva Siddhi, perfection of your human life. So these are the instructions. And many, many such quotations are there. Okay, so hope that clarifies. Okay. So as I already explained, we discussed already, when we come in the Sadhu Sangha, what we do? Not only just talk, but we practice something practical. And the chanting is Bhajan Kriya. So Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Shraddha se we come in the temple. Without Shraddha, you can't come. Then we do Sadhu Sangha. And when you take that association, and what the sadhus will be telling you? Bhajan Kriya. Chant Krishna's name. And that is what we'll be doing now. We'll chant one round of Hare Krishna mantra. And not only just on Saturday evening, here in the session, but we recommend that every day, take out some 10-15 minutes of your day, morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in your office, in your house. Please take this very seriously. Chant every day one round of Hare Krishna mantra. It's a very, very powerful